like you take all these van trips and you share all these like moment to moment experience, but that doesn't really last very long. So I finally have to ask myself, why am I doing this? And there's a good reason. First of all, I'm an artist. Artists have a voice. Artists like to express their voice in the medium they're working in. I've been an actor. I've been a writer. I've been to express it through fashion, through painting and drawing and sculpting. But the thing I like best is film. I like writing scripts. I like telling pictures and stories. And I love editing. I mean, I will sit and watch anything on TV, like editing. It's like the greatest way to like, if pictures tell a story, editing them is a way to like 10x the story. So I just love doing that. So like, I want to have a YouTube channel because I want to be able to edit. It's that simple. And I'm involved in van life. What a perfect thing. And I'm a little bit of an oddball person. So maybe I can tell the stories of my experiences and adventures and the wisdom that I got along the way. It started like when I lived in California, artist's income, paycheck to paycheck, barely making rent, not a lot of money to spend on frivolous stuff. And I would watch YouTube videos about these wonderful tiny houses. I fell in love with tiny houses. They were just like, they were so charming and so like perfect to function within, like less to clean, less to like you can only be in one room at a time. And in California, I ended up, again, like I'd come home to take care of my dad for 3 years because he had Alzheimer's and then he got macular degeneration and there was nobody to take him to the eye doctor. So I like sold everything I owned and came home, but I didn't want to live here permanently. So I made sure I didn't get fat because that would keep me from going back. And I made sure I didn't make any friends because that would keep me from going back. So then I ended up going back to California, but I had to find new places to live. Like when I lived there before, I'd been 9 years in the same apartment. It didn't like raise and rent that much. But now I had to find something new and it was a different landscape. Things were expensive. So I ended up finding a 400 square foot apartment in Pasadena. Charming. It was once like a really old home this was once like, I think it said it was a children's home, and my apartment was the patio. It had 24 doors that all opened, like 24 windows that all opened like doors. Then like they raised the rent from $650 to $700, and then 2009 hit. And obviously the economy tanked and everybody was like giving home rentals away instead of taking them back. And this guy tried to raise my rent $100 a month. And it was a kind of apartment like in college days where like if I ran the vacuum while the neighbor had his microwave on, it would blow out the whole building and would have to go to the apartment downstairs where the fuse box was to flip the switch. And if she was at work, it'd just sit all day with no electricity. So that's like really not a luxury building that deserves $100 a month rent. So I said to myself, I'm going to find the perfect place to live, and it will be $850 a month, and it will be in the perfect neighborhood. And I ended up finding that. I mean, it took a minute because I went through a whole bunch of places that really, I couldn't find anything that was remotely perfect at any price, and I certainly couldn't find anything at $850. But then I found on 840 Larrabee Street in this wonderful luxury building right in the middle of West Hollywood, like right off Santa Monica Boulevard. It had an incredible pool, an incredible gym. The lobby had a grand piano, and they cooked chocolate chip cookies every day for us. And it was $850 a month, and it was it was either 300 or 350 square feet, which is really tiny. But I ended up taking it anyway, and I learned what tiny living was because I couldn't buy anything new without selling something. And I had actually learned a little bit before that because when I moved out to take care of my dad, I had yard sales every Sunday, every weekend. And, you know, you'd sell your treasures for like insanely low prices. And somebody would just try to get you to lower the price from like $3 to $2. And so every time after that I'd go shopping, I'd be like, oh, wow, this is so pretty. what's the yard sale value? So I stopped like wanting to buy then. And then once I had this tiny apartment, you couldn't buy something new without deciding what you were going to get rid of. So that like began me. And then I watched an Audible book that was all about minimalism and tiny living. And there's a philosophy I don't know if it was from my Audible book or what, but there's a philosophy. You've got spirituality here and you've got stuff here. And there's like a line in between, and you can fall anywhere on that line. But the closer you are to this stuff, the further you are away from this, which is the truth of who you are. And I don't believe you can be a happy person far away from the truth of who you are. So, so the minimalism thing just really hit me, and I wanted a tiny house, and I couldn't even barely make my rent. I was trying to make it as a screenwriter and not really succeeding where you'd sell a screenplay and be able to move on to a whole different scale of living. I remember there was one moment where this one screenplay got like double X's under excellent for the coverage from every, the coverage that was done. I forget where it was done. And I was like on cloud 9 thinking, oh, I finally made it. I went to Ann Taylor and bought all these cute outfits so that I would look good when I made it. Of course, then I screwed it up with how I handled it, but that's a whole other issue. And that's okay. That's okay. Things happen in the time they're supposed to happen. And I hope that what I'm writing now will move faster and further than any of the other things I ever wrote. But if it doesn't, that's okay. I got joy and growth from writing. I woke up one morning with this just feeling of doom. Like I decided it was because my mother's brain was starting to go. She was well into her 90s, and it clicked. Like, sometimes you just go, oh, that's the answer. You don't make changes like this just to make other people happy. It was like, how can I change my life so that my life fits with making that better for her life? I moved home. I designed an entire collection of people matching pet clothes. Really cute, wonderful stuff. I did my first show in Atlanta. I saw a van, like this van that was like as tall as a person. And it was like a Red Roof Inn, and like 10 people poured into this van. It was big, it was spacious, it was square. It would make a perfect tiny house. I actually booked 8 more shows all around the country. And then COVID hit. The night before, I was supposed to leave for my Los Angeles trip. So then I looked on YouTube and I found these vans that were turned into tiny houses. Vans like the one I had seen. It was like, Eureka! I researched the cost of a van. I researched the cost of what you need to put into it. And I decided I could afford to do it. So I bought it. It was going to be 4 months till I received it. I spent that time like drawing out what I wanted, exactly the details of everything so that it would suit my needs. Because when you've only got 60 square feet to deal with, it has to serve exactly what you want. I wanted the feeling of space, the illusion that I wasn't trapped. I wanted a bathroom, a full bathroom and a full kitchen and a full electrical system. That was my 15-year journey to getting small, to learning what minimizing your life is like, to learn that you don't have to buy into the lie that you need to buy this, to have this, to be happy. Just stop buying stuff. It's an addiction. Because you buy it and then you have to work twice as hard to pay for it, and then you have it and you're miserable because you had to work so hard. You didn't get to do anything of value. You made somebody else rich. Like, that's when I finally quit my job. I was building someone else's wealth. And when I realized I was building someone else's wealth, it was like, okay, so how can I build my own wealth? And that's when like the dog clothes business came in. So, okay, that's all I got to say. Thank you for watching.